Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday evening Forex breakdown. My name is Gail Mercer, and I'm going to be your hostess for this evening. I would like you to take a moment to read over the Nadex risk disclaimer. It is for your protection as well as ours. And basically, you should never trade with money you cannot afford to risk. Even though the Nadex binary options and touch brackets offer us a limited risk environment, it is still a risk on every single trade. Okay? Now, for those of you that do not know me, my name is Gail Mercer. I am the founder of Traders Help Desk. I have previously been a speaker at the Wyckoff Volume Conference, Traders Expo, Traders World Online Expo, as well as several TradeStation user groups. I do specialize in Forex, and I just love the binary options and the touch brackets on them. I also have quite a few books on Amazon.com that do explain the Nadex binary options and spreads as well as candlesticks. Okay, and you can check them out on Amazon.com. Now, I specialize in candlestick formation, support and resistance, and volume analysis. And basically, I believe it's the support and the resistance that actually moves the market. Tonight, when we're looking at charts, you're going to see I use a lot of support and resistance on my charts, and I combine that with the candlestick patterns to identify where price will potentially go. Now, I would like you to take a moment and visit tradershelpdesk.com to learn more about me, the indicators that I use, and ways that I could help you in your trading. You can also always contact me at gm@tradershelpdesk.com. Now, before we get started on the charts, I do want to take just a moment to explain what Nadex offers. And the ones that I trade a lot of would be the 2-hour binary options and the touch brackets. I do occasionally trade the 5-minute options because, there's nothing else going on another time frame. I do prefer the higher time frames though. Now tonight, as we're looking at these charts, I'll explain to you, okay, this is going on this time frame, so you might have to use, for example, a 2-hour binary option where this is going on a higher time frame. In my opinion, I would at least choose the touch bracket. Sometimes I do the touch bracket and the 2-hour binary option. Now, Nadex does offer touch brackets on the euro dollar, the British pound dollar, the USD Swiss franc, and the USD JPY. The binaries are actually offered on the Aussie yen, Aussie dollar, euro, British pound, euro yen, euro dollar, British pound yen, British pound dollar, USD CAD, USD Swiss franc, and the USD yen. Okay. The first thing that I always do, and I do this every week before I ever start to trade, is look at the high volatility reports that we have. In this case, this week, I think the big ones this week are probably actually going to be the G20 meetings, and that is on Thursday and Friday. Now, why do I think those are going to be so big? Because number one, they're expecting the president to talk with the China president to see if they can come to an agreement on the trade tariffs. Okay, that's going to be a big one. If they tweet out anything about these trade wars, that's going to be a big one. Now, the other one is when the Fed chairman speaks on Tuesday. That will also be a big one as well. Because again, depending on what he says, that could move the market, substantially. Everybody's looking to see if they're going to potentially decrease the interest rates in July, and they're going to be looking at anything he says for clues on that. Okay. So normally my favorite days to trade are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. This week I'm probably going to change that, and I'm probably going to do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, because I do not want to be in the market during these G20 meetings. Okay, I think we'll get some spikes, and you know the spikes can cause a good trade to go bad. Okay, so I really don't want to be in the market during that time period. Okay, so we're going to actually start with the Aussie yen. Okay, and I'm just going to work down the list, and you'll notice that I have lines on my chart, and they simply represent the ATR. That the blue line represents the daily ATR. The red line will represent the ATR that is on the weekly chart. Okay, now the one thing that I think on the Aussie yen is we're potentially going to get some upward movement. One of the reasons I think that we're going to get this upward movement is that we have a divergence on the RSI. We also have a divergence on the ADX as well. Now this indicates that more likely than not, price will come up to the ATR at 75.20. Okay, that would be representative of this blue line over on the 360 chart. You can also see that they made that small, and it is really a small double bottom there. Again, that just indicates that it will potentially go up. Your issues on this will be the ATR on the 360, which is at 74.68, and then immediately above that at 75.01. We could see this, excuse me, we could actually see this go up to the 75.01, okay? And then depending on what happens here, you know, it could come back and it could potentially take out the low at 73.93. But with this being overextended, I think we may continue up to 77.17. Typically what will happen is that price will go up and it will break through this congestion dot as well as this ATR, but then it's going to come back and it's going to test for support. Once it finds that support, then more than likely it will continue up. Does everybody understand that? And that's a pattern that I see time and time again. So I like to trade that pattern. Any questions on the Aussie yen? Okay, we'll go and let's look at the Aussie US dollar. Now the Aussie US dollar over here, it just like it looks like it's made a double bottom right in here. They rejected the low that was formed on May 13th, the week of May 13th. They are going up. They're potentially going up to about 69.57. And this is an area you will have to watch to see if it offers resistance. If it offers resistance, then more likely than not, it will come down, okay? But then if it does, you will have a potential support area at 68.91. On the euro yen, you can see you have that same little double bottom formation here on the euro yen. This is a reversal bar to the upside, which indicates that this should be a bullish bar this week, okay? We're barely into the week. Here you also have a reversal bar, again indicating that this market should go up. You do have overhead resistance at a 122.53 as well as 122.23. This is a good example of you had this trend divergence here that kicked off this upward move. You've broken through the ATR. I expect it to come here, but again, it's probably going to come back and test 121.47 before it continues up. Okay, and that's just because price needs that support area to push price up further. Does everybody understand that? Then on the euro dollar, the weekly chart shows that they just broke through that ATR, but you know, they could reach up to the 1511 area. When you come over to the daily, you can see that they're definitely reaching up on this one. You've had really strong bullish bars, but you are not overextended anywhere, okay? And then when you come down to the 360, this is where you can see that you're overextended on the RSI. This is where I think we may get some downward movement on the euro dollar. I think it would probably be in the maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even tomorrow that we get some downward movement, simply because this is overextended. We do have a potential support area at 1311 or even 1276. These are the areas that I would be watching, because you're not overextended here, you're not overextended here. So, you know, you're probably going to continue up until you hit a strong resistance area, okay? Then on the British pound yen, again, you're seeing these reversal bars from last week, okay? You also see over here you had trend divergence. More than likely, it's going to go up to 137.81, and this one actually has the formation that I like on it, because you have on the 360, you have it where it's broken the ATR, but do you see how it came back and tested this ATR and it gave you a pivot low formation right as that was at the point of being overextended? That's the formation I would like to see on the other markets that we have been going through tonight. So in this case, I think there's a high probability that this will probably go up to 137.88. Okay? And that's basically about 100 pips. That's a pretty substantial move. Okay, let's go and look at the British pound dollar. On the British pound dollar, you can see that they have formed this reversal bar right at this blue dot here, which is called a congestion dot. Okay, this is where I'm anticipating this to come back and test the ATR at 1.3012. You also see that even though the stochastics came down to exactly the same level from over here, they were unable to push price lower. Okay, this is usually indicative that you're going to have a strong bullish bar form. Okay, in this case, you've seen, you know, pretty much all week last week you were having bullish bars. I think it potentially will reach up to 2806 before it decides to test for a support area. Okay, when you come over to the 360, I would actually be watching for a potential divergence. I think it may push up and test the highs at 2759, as well as, well, you might as well say 2760. If it rejects that area, then that's where it's potentially going to come and test for support. And it's probably going to be at the moving average or even the ATR. Any questions on the British pound dollar? Okay, let's go look at the USD CAD. The USD CAD on Friday, it did form trend divergence here. And you can see you have had the first bullish bar here. Okay, that would indicate to me that it will potentially push up to 33.65. The only thing that could potentially stop this would be this ATR over here on the 360, and I'm just going to put that in a different color for you, because this is going to push up, and the one area that may cause resistance, in other words, they can't get through this area, it's almost going to act like a ceiling, will be the 32.70 area. So I would be watching that area very closely on the USD CAD this week. Then on the USD Swiss franc, you can see that we are overextended over here. If we get a bullish bar, which we don't have, but if we get a bullish bar tomorrow, then that would give you a potential for trend divergence here. But until that comes in, you would have to presume that this would continue down. Over on the 360, you can also see that you were overextended. They have come back again and made a new low. Again, you're still overextended. I still think we'll probably get a bullish bar, but until that comes in, I would not touch this market because you're already overextended on almost all 3 time frames. So to me, the USD Swiss franc is one that I would just wait until you get that indication that you're going to go up and test for resistance, and at that point, I would be interested in it. On the USD yen, you can see that we've had a strong divergence actually on the 360, and that's actually supported because we're overextended here, and we potentially have divergence here on the daily too. Now, we do have that doji on the daily, okay? And everybody says, well, dojis always indicate a change in direction. No, the doji tells you to wait until the next bar. If the next bar is bullish, then you're potentially going to move to the upside. I would anticipate this to go up to 108.60 area. But again, you're going to have to watch out for these areas over on the 360 because they can still act as a potential support area or resistance area. Okay? Any questions on that tonight? It does look like the yen pairs may actually give us the nicer moves this week. But again, you have to wait and let it reach an area of support or resistance before you enter, okay? And a lot of times, for example, let's say the British pound, no, British pound yen's not a good one because it doesn't have the touch brackets. So let's go to the USD yen. All right. One of the cool things I like about the TradingView platform is you can always measure the profit potential with that little tool there. And in this case, up to this ATR, in other words, if it gets up to this ATR, that's a potential of about 59 pips, okay? So that to me tells me I'm probably going to be using a 2-hour binary. But if it breaks through these, and let's just say it comes back and it tests this blue line, okay, then I'm going to be measuring, okay, if it comes up to the red line, okay, and in that case, it's 176 pips. So this is what I call the sweet spot trading area, and that's the area that I'm going to use my touch bracket because it has the biggest potential. Now, even saying that, there's a lot of things that have to happen before that occurs, okay? Number one, they have to break through this ATR. I would like them to come up to here, then test for support forms, and you can usually tell that by your candlestick patterns, okay? I would love for them the market when it tests for support to be oversold, because that's just another indication that more likely than not the market will go up. And that's the point where I'm doing touch brackets. Okay, so when you see these smaller moves, those are the ones that I'm probably doing a couple of 2-hour binaries. Okay, but then when you get into these bigger moves, that's where I really want to target those touch brackets. Okay, because it allows you to capture more of the move. Okay, any questions? Well, if there's no questions tonight, I do appreciate all of you joining me on a Sunday evening. I will be back next Sunday evening at the same time. Just remember, on Thursday and Friday this week, they do have the G20 meetings. And depending on what kind of tweets come out of that meeting, we could see some severe market spikes. Oh, thank you, Maverick.